At a depth of over 100 meters underwater, a diver pierced a bag of milk with a knife. The milk dispersed evenly into the water, and none of it was drawn into the submarine below, proof that the vessel was already completely flooded. When the hatch was finally opened, the diver was met with the heartbreaking sight of 23 young sailors' bodies floating inside the submarine. What the divers didn't know was that all 23 of these men could have been saved, if not for a disastrous decision made by Russia's military leadership. Instead, they died alongside 95 others, entombed at sea. This would become the deadliest submarine disaster in Russian history, all caused by a single torpedo. In August 2000, Russia's largest nuclear-powered attack submarine, the Kursk, left port and headed for the Barents Sea to participate in a Northern Fleet training exercise. But soon, the crew in the torpedo room noticed a dangerous spike in the temperature of one of the warheads. One sailor believed a hydrogen peroxide leak was causing the heat surge. He urgently reported the situation to his superior, suggesting they launch the torpedo immediately to prevent catastrophe. But the officer dismissed the warning, claiming the temperature was still within safe limits and that the scheduled launch was only 5 minutes away. What could possibly go wrong? That single misjudgment would prove fatal. As two sailors nervously eyed the readout, the torpedo's temperature suddenly spiked to 152 degrees Celsius, and then it exploded. The massive blast disabled the sub entirely, sending it plunging to the ocean floor. The shock rattled the sailors in the rear compartments, leaving them stunned. Acting quickly, they sealed the watertight doors to prevent flooding and tried to radio the command center, but there was no response. They began to fear their commanders had been killed in the blast. The reality was far worse. The explosion had engulfed the torpedo bay in fire, and now the remaining warheads were being cooked by the blaze. The rising heat could trigger a second, deadlier explosion at any moment. With no options, the men watched the temperature monitors in tense silence. Suddenly, the displays went dark. They breathed a sigh of relief, until 1 second later, the entire front of the submarine was ripped open by a second massive explosion. Freezing seawater flooded in. A seasoned Master Chief ordered the remaining survivors to retreat to the 9th compartment in the rear, while he ran toward the explosion, because he knew the greatest danger now was the onboard nuclear reactor. If it was compromised, none of them would survive.